Hello class, I will be telling everyone about our human impact of habitat destruction, and you'll be hearing from a few of us today, including myself, Miss Ruiz, Miss Granham, Miss Levy, and Miss Cruz. So before we begin, I'm sure everyone can guess what the meaning of habitat destruction is, so can I have a volunteer from the class? Oh, thank you, volunteer. What do you think habitat destruction means?
It's like when the environment gets ruined.
Yeah, that's really good. So just to explain some more of that, thank you for sharing. I will be talking about some boring definitions that no one really cares about. So habitat destruction is essentially the process of an environment not successfully providing the resources that it needs for the living organisms to survive. For example, if the animals go extinct, it's probably because the plants aren't getting the nutrients it needs from the earth. And so if the plants are dead, then the animals can't have anything to eat, and then it just goes through the whole life cycle. And then the environment just doesn't look good anymore. And I got some of this information on Habitat Destruction Facts for Kids. And here's some pictures of what it can look like. For this picture, you can see the ground is kind of blackened, probably from some fire that happened. And the trees are all cut down. And you can see there's no animals living there anymore. And then in this picture, it's more of like the up top scale. And so there's still some living environments in the background over here, but it really wants to focus on the center where just completely everything is gone. And this can happen from a number of things. So we have pollution, which I'm sure you all know about, and it can happen just by driving a car or sometimes like oil production and all that. There's also invasive species, which basically is a type of species that tries to move into this environment, but no one wanted them to move in because they're not supposed to live there. So we gotta like evict these species because they ain't supposed to be there. And then we have agriculture development, and this is the change that we made from like being hunters and gatherers in the olden times to now we're farmers and like harvesting the crops and all that. So this is detrimental to the whole habitat destruction because you take the food from the environment and bring it into your own domesticated farm, and then the environment is losing its resources, which leads to diminished resources of just not having enough food for the rest of the animals or even water if the air doesn't provide any rain or anything. There's also urban sprawl, which can happen when architectures build a lot of neighborhoods like really rapidly in one area. So they cut down the whole land to make it all nice and flat for the houses. And then there's all these houses now, and now there's no living animals for that environment. Because who wants like a random raccoon in their house? No one. And then there's logging, which can be seen in the picture I showed you guys earlier from when all the trees were cut. Because logging means like making logs of the tree trunks. But it's not good because you're killing the tree. And then there's mining, which I'm sure y'all have seen Snow White with the 7 dwarves mining all the jewels and stuff. But this one isn't as fun because it's taking away the minerals that the earth needs to make that environment really thrive and flourish. Then you have destructive fishing practices, and an example of this could be like fishers throwing in explosives in the water to kill the fish. But by doing that, it's also killing the environment that the fish lives in, like the coral reefs and all that. And lastly, we have disruption of ecosystem processes, such as like all the fires being more intense and this can happen a lot in California because of the dry weather we have. And I found this information on main types of habitat loss. So thank you everyone for listening, and now you'll be hearing from Miss Granja about even more interesting things of habitat destruction.
Hi everybody, my name is Miss Granja, and I'm going to be explaining how our pollution may look in somewhere closer to us so that we can understand and see our everyday environment and how we're really impacting it. And I wanted to talk about something that's really close to us, and that was our beaches. So all of us are fortunate enough to live really close to a beach. We're all from around Fullerton, and we are so used to having this image. When we think about a beach, what do you think of? We think of a beautiful and amazing, a wonderful sight. Look at these beaches, absolutely beautiful. And I wish we could keep them this way, but unfortunately, our beaches and oceans have been suffering quite a bit from our human impact. And so the types of pollution that we are unfortunately causing are carbon emissions, chemical spills, which are from things like our cars, our factories, that are causing these to happen quite often. And next we have plastic pollution, which is one of the bigger ones that I'm going to be focusing on, overfishing, and construction. So what we're actually doing with construction is we're taking away these creatures that live on the beaches, that live in the ocean's homes, by us building on top and getting closer and closer to the ocean and on our beaches. So I want you guys to look at this, and maybe when we go to the beach, this is really what we start seeing. I know I have been seeing this a lot. There's so many trash, so much trash on our shores that could have easily been prevented. When you go to the beach, do you guys take food with you? I know I do. I like to take my water bottles. I like to take my sand pail, my beach balls, my towels. And unfortunately, that may cause a lot of waste, and a lot of people don't pick up after themselves. And it causes our oceans and our shores to look like this. And it may not be directly just by going to the beach. It may be from our trash that we throw away all the time, or our trash that we forgot to throw away in the first place. And we may not even be close to the beach right now, but eventually that trash will make its way over there. And a lot of our trash goes straight into the ocean. And I want you guys to remember who lives on these shores and who lives in the ocean. It's all of our fishes, it's all of our crabs, all of our ocean life, our sharks, our whales, amazing creatures that are suffering and are hurting because of these plastics. And a lot of it may be just something that we don't really think about, but I want you guys to remember about these images, and these next images that I'm going to show may be a little bit scary for you to see, but they're not too scary. I just want you to know that you are hurting these fish when we're leaving that water bottle in the beach. So you see here, we can see that this little fish is swimming with a bunch of trash all around it, and it can get stuck. A lot of sea animals have gotten stuck like this turtle who got stuck on a volleyball net. Now, plastic doesn't decompose. It will never decompose, or it will take millions and millions and millions of years, way long before we're gone, our great grandkids are gone, a million years, and it's still going to be stuck. That water bottle you used yesterday, it's still going to be here in a million years. And I'm not saying don't use your water bottles. I'm not saying don't use any plastics. I'm saying we need to be cleaner about it. We need to reuse them. We need to recycle, because we don't want it to end up in our oceans. And a lot of times these plastics turn into tiny little microplastics. These microplastics may end up in the bellies of these fish. A lot of fish have been eating them. I didn't want to include that picture because that one's a little too scary, but for us to help, Miss Mati, Levy has made a little interactive assignment for you guys that she's going to share with you right now.
For our interactive component, we will be displaying to our students firsthand our human impact of habitat destruction. Along with the field trip, there will be a worksheet provided for students to evaluate what may or may not belong in the environment we see. We actually have an example here. It is designed as a scavenger hunt at the 6th grade level, specifically at the beach, and they will be identifying 4 things that do not belong, list them here, and then provide explanations as to why they should not be where they are. And at the bottom here is more of a self-reflection and creativity, where it states, draw a picture of the beach and what you want it to look like. So a picture of what they see versus what they wish it would look like. And it could be much more colorful. It could have a lot less of human impact versus a more fresh and untainted image. And right here, we just want to see what they're going to draw and more of a creative time. So right now, actually, we are going to be showing you guys what that field trip may even look like. We have an unpaid actor, my cousin, who's in 6th grade, and we're going to be showing you and taking you through the steps of our field trip. So let's go.
Now we're at the beach. I have my 6th grader with me, and let's start looking for things that don't belong. He might be bad.
This was a fun project and I really enjoyed it.
Hi class, I'm Miss Cruz, and now that we have an idea of how habitat destruction affects biodiversity, we will now look at potential viable solutions. And what could those solutions be? Or is there even possible solutions? So my real question is, as humanity grows and continues to require space, is it possible to now implement new solutions to habitat destructions? And will they be effective and meaningful if we come up with any? Well, let's look at some new ideas that can make a meaningful difference that maybe you can teach others or even apply yourself. So the first solution that I came up with after doing some research is that we need to monitor and test water quality. So even with the physical structure of a habitat that is being preserved, the habitat may be destroyed from within. This is due to the quality of water that is available to those who call the area home. By monitoring the water quality levels, performing regular sampling, and testing them when they're working to see if there's any improvement in damaged areas, a habitat can begin the journey towards their recovery. Second point is that using too much water from lakes and rivers can affect animals' habitat, believe it or not. conserve this resource by taking at least 5-minute showers, turning off the faucet when you brush your teeth. Even though we sometimes use hot water for our own comfort when it's really cold, we should at least consider turning it off and bugging your parents to fix leaky pipes if there's any. Solution number 2 is managing existing land in a proper way. And how so? Well, a good example of this comes from the logging industry. In the past, clear cutting was considered a viable solution to the commercial need for wood. The only problem was that clear cutting altered the habitat in many ways, such as through soil erosion, and it could take up to 50 years to restore the land. By using this sort of management techniques, local habitats could still be protected while commercial needs were still met. Okay, third solution is going to be publication awareness. For many people, the idea of habitat loss is one that does not enter their mind unless it affects them personally in some way. So they think that it's not really affecting them, but in reality, we need to take care of the world we live in. Through journalistic activities that report on habitat destruction, a greater public awareness of this issue being faced can be obtained. Through greater awareness comes more focused actions to preserve a habitat so it won't be destroyed, and we can also do our part. My fourth solution is going to be keeping everything in its place, and that means keeping our hands to ourselves. So even though it's all fun and games to look at any sort of animal you come into contact, or just even want to be a little nosy and see what's under a log, for example, if there's a frog, what we need to consider is that we need to keep the environment the same, and if we move something, make sure we put it back, because rocks, leaves, and tree limbs are homes for lots of tiny animals, so it's important to not destroy them and keep everything in place. So before you do something, stop and think. My fifth solution is going to be you need to cut out the use of single-use plastic. So even though we don't like doing chores, we don't like washing dishes, and just prefer to spend time maybe playing video games or playing outside with their friends, something we need to consider is that maybe that route is easier. I understand that it's very convenient, so we won't have to wash any dirty dishes or do chores just to get paid. But let's reconsider that thought. For example, coffee pots and plastic straws are two very popular examples of an item that the world landfills. Plastic represents a serious danger of life, especially for animals who can be trapped in the millions of plastic items around their habitats. So sometimes our trash can go in the ocean, and even though we don't think that it's going there, most likely it is. So what are potential dangers? Well, every time we use plastic products that are being used, it's just gonna continue damaging our environment, and we do not want that. So now onto our question. What can we do as a society? Well, think of switching to different alternative options like recycle food packaging and paper straws. It makes a bigger difference to habitats. Okay, class, so that concludes my part, and we hope you enjoyed our video presentation on habitat destruction. And now that you have an understanding of what occurs, that we can destroy the shelters that are home to the wildlife, we hope you can contribute some of your part and your knowledge with your friends, family, anyone you encounter in order to continue to combat habitat destruction by preserving natural resources. Bye.